Hey everybody, welcome to another episode. I'm Alexander Wonder. This is what I watched this month. The Zone of Interest. This movie was definitely not my idea. I did not want to go watch this movie, but my friend insisted, and so I did. And man, do I regret it. This movie, in my personal opinion, is as boring as I expected it to be. But it just so happens to be one of those movies that Hollywood is trying to convince me that I should love. For me, and I get it, some people really like this movie. I personally was not interested at all. Next up on the list is Underwater, and I had a really great time watching this movie. I love horror movies and sci-fi films where the main character is at the center of the story, making them a necessary component for the survival of the entire team. And Nora, Kristen Stewart's character in this film, is a mechanical engineer who's basically going to, I guess, do just that, build them out of there. You're putting these characters in impossible situations where they have to be braver than they think they are. And the monster reveal at the end was super cool. You only ever really get glimpses of it, but just the glimpses are enough to really clue you in or like trigger something in you to be like, oh yeah, there's definitely something like that living at the bottom of the ocean. It's just a really well-made movie. I don't know why this doesn't get more love. Next on the list was Lisa Frankenstein, which was a movie that I was actually really excited to watch because I'm a huge fan of Diablo Cody. Juno was one of those movies that got me into film. Like, it's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So I've been waiting for Diablo to make something after Jennifer's Body forever now. So I'm a little biased, I'll be honest. But I am going to be fair in my review in that I felt like even though the movie visually is really beautiful and the concept itself was really fresh and cool, and I love the world that the director Zelda Williams was trying to play in, and all of the elements that were added to kind of create like this really special world. I loved all of that stuff. It's still, to me, it never really reached its potential to me. I saw all of the elements there and all of the elements wanted to work together, but I do feel like at the end of the day that the film had a real problem with tone, and it did often feel like the actors in it were sort of all in different movies. And I watched the movie twice. I'm gonna watch it a third time. I'm gonna watch it a fourth time. I think it's still so rewatchable. And honestly, I'm just hoping that this is sort of the encouragement that Diablo needed to make more movies for herself and for us as an audience who really loves her stuff. So anyway, on to the next movie. I also watched Friday the 13th this month, which was, I don't know, it was sort of the classic setup of like kids on a campsite being murdered, and I thought it was pulled off kind of in an interesting way. It's nice to see Jared Padalecki. It's cool to see Danielle Panabaker. Ultimately, I thought the movie was fine. I mean, I thought it was like a really cool time. The kills were cool. I don't think, I gotta be real with you, don't think it's doing anything crazy. It didn't leave sort of like a lasting effect on me where I was like, oh, you know what I mean? When we watch Jamie Lee Curtis scream, that's the kind of stuff that stays with you. And I don't know, this one just didn't, it wasn't really giving that. I also saw Madam Web this month, and honestly, I don't want to fight with anybody. I don't want to argue with anybody. I knew from the very beginning when I started seeing people trashing the movie before it even came out for like some weird line about spiders in Peru, that this movie was probably going to be a lot better than whatever the internet was trying to convince me it was going to be. And even though this movie definitely had its sort of cornier moments, i.e. that ending that was just so really cringe, and I don't know who approved that and why they did that, but like they did that. I just feel like I'm so sick of the internet like trashing movies before they even come out. You know, before I went in to watch this movie, it was rated like a 1, and then when I went in, I was like, this movie is at least a 6 or 7.5. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not as bad as people were saying. I don't know. I think there's a conspiracy. I don't know what it is. I don't have the answers. Miller's Girl. Miller's Girl was definitely a sleeper of this season for me. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. It's sexy. It's funny, smart, dangerous. Jenna Ortega is just so freaking interesting and captivating in this film. And so is Gideon Adlon, who sort of plays her best friend in this movie. They both play really smart, captivating young women who just sort of get you tangled up in their web, man. It's such a fun ride. Martin Freeman, man, he's This guy, he's good looking, guys. Sorry. There's so many performers that I really love were in this movie, and I don't know, it's fun. It was well written. The script is a masterclass too. I would definitely pick that up if you guys are looking for inspiration out there. Yeah, there's not much to say about this except for, go watch this movie and tell people about this movie. I think it's definitely, I don't know, it feels classic. I don't know if it's too soon to say that, but it does. It feels sort of timeless. Yeah. Out of Darkness was definitely one of those movies that I forgot that I watched. I think at the time while I was watching it, I was having sort of a good time. The monster in this movie, is sort of held and withheld from us until the very end of the film. And the monster reveal in this movie, I don't want to give anything away. I'll just say this. The whole time while I was watching this movie, I thought it was going to be one monster, and then it turned out to be a different kind of monster. And that sort of threw me for a loop because the monster that they went with wasn't as good as the monster that I had in my head. And so it sort of ruined everything for me. And then a lot actually wasn't really explained. I feel like there was a lot of plot holes in this movie. I'll definitely give it points for being set in an interesting time period. The use of space and blocking was super interesting. How they used darkness, how they used the camera to sort of confuse and disorient us as an audience was sort of interesting as well. And I also thought that, the characters, despite them not being super dimensional, were interesting. Yeah. Drive Away Dolls is next to my list. I walked into this movie sort of blind, so I didn't know anything about it, never seen a trailer, just sort of, bought a ticket, sat down, pressed play, and it was a fun time. I mean, I think it's definitely one of those movies that, again, is probably going to be somebody's sexual awakening and definitely going to, stand the test of time and probably, be considered iconic at some point in time or in history. I think this, again, was one of those movies that sort of had all the elements there to be interesting and fun, and even though it definitely took some routes that were sort of quirky that made the movie itself unique, but my biggest issue I think with this movie ultimately came down to the casting and sort of the performance choices. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Margaret Qualley's performance was probably my least favorite. I just feel like it was all one note. I don't know, there were just no levels to it. I just wish that she had taken some time to work less on the accent and more on subtext. I know I'm sort of dragging her in this moment. This was just my personal opinion of it. I just never bought into her character being a real person. And I think it was because she kept that character in such a heightened state. And if that's a choice, as sort of a barrier that this character has put up, fine. But there has to be a moment where we break that veil and we see the real person. Anyway, I thought Drive Away Dolls was fine. I probably won't be revisiting this movie. Okay, moving on. Bob Marley, One Love, I have to put on the list because technically I did watch it. I did end up leaving about 30 to 40 minutes into the movie. Not because it was completely uninteresting. To be honest with you, we had already made the decision that the movie was too boring for us right when it seemed like it was getting interesting. But once we had sort of made that decision, I couldn't just renege on it with my friend. We were sort of in on it together at that point. So we did have to leave. I think my biggest issue, this is gonna sound a little crazy, not enough shirtless images. I know that sounds scandalous, but I think I needed a little bit more sexiness, and I just wasn't getting that. I needed jam-packed, from the very beginning all the way to the end. And although this is why I'm saying that, I think we left too early, because it just so happened that the scene we were leaving on was one of the scenes when Bob all of a sudden looked really attractive, and I was a little bit more interested. We ended up leaving. I probably won't revisit this movie, to be honest with you. I'm not into biography movies. I'm not into historical pieces like this. I find them all sort of to be, I don't know, not as good as people try to. I feel like there's a running theme in this episode. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment below with the film that you think I should watch next. If you disagreed with anything that I said here today, please, I want to hear your opinions on it. I'm not always right, and I'm definitely try to keep an open mind, so would love to hear from you guys. Anyway, see you next time. you.